Howdy everybody in YouTube land. What we have in front of us today is yet another Powerbook 100. I've been doing a lot of these lately. I've done two for another person, and then I picked this one up myself very recently. This one is complete, but it's kind of rough. There's some scuffing here and there, but it's got everything. I have the doors. I have both feet. They're not broke off, which is very common. But the most important thing is the screen does not have any vinegar syndrome yet, nor any trackball damage. So, still not out of the woods because there's cap corrosion that can cause, dead on the screen. But, so the other big problem with this is one, well, we've got some yellowing of the plastic, which is not too big of a deal. But more importantly, we've got the rubber starting to stick and degrade because you can see it here. So these rubber bumpers are gonna have to be removed. What I don't have is the CAD drawing to be able to make new ones from 3D printing. And even if you could, you're not gonna match this bezel anyway. So we're just gonna have to like peel that off and just deal with it. The laptop itself overall is in decent shape as far as the plastic is concerned. However, it's got that rubber goo mess everywhere like they all do by now, and more importantly, that random Phillips screw I don't think is supposed to be there, so someone has been in here. I think what I want to start with, though, is I want to start with removing the rubber crap off of it and get that cleaned up first because it's getting literally everywhere. And then we can start taking this thing apart. Alright, got all the rubber off of it. That was pretty gross. Still more to go. I did save this one, even though it's starting to melt, for comparisons to get the right ones made for 3D printing, because you can use like TPU, which is the stuff a cell phone case is made out of, but not a big deal. I just popped this screen off. I tried to plug it in and turn it on, but it just, yeah. So, just crack this guy loose. See what we got going on inside here. Looks to be all original. Nothing has been tampered with as far as the capacitors are concerned. They're still all original, so that needs help. Let's see if I can remove this guy. This is the main processor card. See what we got going under there. Oh, we got one cap there that's still in their original, but that's it. No serious damage. That's good. That's good. I like that. And it looks like it's got a third-party RAM expansion. So someone decided to add some RAM to this. This is a bad idea. It needs to come out of there, though. Yeah. Ooh, it's got room for more RAM. I find that interesting. Why do we have... Huh. Same thing over here. Weird. I don't know. I have to look up the issues, but hey, I can expand this memory out. So, I think I've mentioned before in a video, this thing is essentially the Macintosh portable backlit model shrunk down with a different power supply. And actually, to better explain, it's the same power supply. It's just slightly differently designed, where it's using the input DC jack as the regulator voltage reference versus the battery as on the portable. So, but otherwise, it's basically the same thing. So we're just going to go ahead and get this thing apart. I don't know how... Actually, you know what? That right there is broke off. So Yeah, it is. I didn't notice that before. I don't see any pieces lying around, so it's been broke. But yeah, that's broke off. It's where someone has had this apart and has tried to work on it, but anyways, so the one thing I like about the Macintosh Powerbook 100 is it's not that hard to take apart. That's it for the palm rest, which again, we got to clean off all the rubber between here and there still, but ooh, yeah, the adhesive is going bad. God, this stuff gets so old it becomes impractical to work on. But we have a 20 megabyte Connor drive, which honestly, we're better off using a blue SCSI. But hey, it has it. I don't know what's installed on it, but it has it. Let's see what the trackball's doing. Well, needs cleaned severely. No surprise there. Are the rollers melted? No, they're not. But it does need some serious cleaning, so we got to do that. Alright, well, this looks pretty straightforward to me, so this might just be a very quick recap and go video. We'll see. Alrighty then, so I got all the caps off the board, and what I did was I used this flux here, which CJ sent me. This stuff has got a very strong concentration of water-soluble flux, so if you use this stuff, you have to clean it off. You have to use ultrasonic or whatever to get that cleaned off, because this stuff is caustic and corrosive. But the good news about this stuff is really good for cutting through corrosion or types of metal that just won't hold normal ordinary solder. So I was able to clean this board up fairly well from those capacitors. So I'm going to go ahead, and now that I got that all cleaned up, I'm going to go wash this off real quick. So that way it can be washed and dried, and then we don't have to worry about it. We're all good to go. So now, just by random chance, in the middle of working on the first one, I now have a second one. So that one is in far worse shape. I don't know what it's going to do. I'm missing the door. I'm sure that could be 3D printed. That's not a big deal, but I mean, it's the rear door. Who cares? It's missing the foot. That's a little bit more important than the door, in my opinion. And it's got all the other same problems the rest of them do, like, crappy rubber and all of that. But someone tried to do some kind of Velcro or something on it. Aw, it's got a nice little sticker. Of course, it's got rubber all over it. But, let's see. This one, I'm curious if this one has trackball damage or not. Nope. And it, again, melted rubber issues. So this one looks like someone's tried to peel it apart. So I don't know what we got going on. But what kind of display do we have? Nice. We don't have any trackball damage on that display either, that I can tell anyways. So we're good. This is awesome. A little bit of plastic warping down there, kind of concerning. But hey, this one is in much of the similar shape, but it's got everything in it. And you know what? This one's not nearly as yellowed as the other one either. So I wonder if I can make one good one out of the two, and then put the other one together to get rid of or something. I don't know. But you know what? We're going to go ahead and take this part, because, well, heck with it. I might as well just recap both logic boards at the same time and see what happens. Why not? Similar situation for this one too. It still looks bone stock. There's no recapping that has gone on yet. It has a memory expansion very similar to that of the other one, and all that. So yeah, so it's the same thing. So we're just gonna keep going through here, see what we got under there. Whoop, has a hard drive. Well, it's one that's basically useless, because these are almost all bad. Huh, that's not OEM. No, that is not original. Looks like it was upgraded at one point. Not sure, but that's definitely a goner. If I want to save any software on it, I basically have to back it up nearly immediately when I energize it using like the Blue Scuzzy initiator mode or something along those lines. There's no other way around that. But yeah, so we're just going to get this board out, wash, rinse, repeat, technically, literally, and metaphorically, and we'll just keep on going. All right, so while the boards are being washed and dried, I want to take this panel apart and get everything inspected, check the capacitors, all that fun stuff, because that all needs done. And then while I have it apart, I can get this. So in order to recreate this has to be modeled, which means it's got to be scanned on like a flatbed scanner to recreate the exact contours. So I need this apart anyways, so I can get this thing scanned. Or something. I don't know. Get that scanned somehow, and then we have to get measurements made so this thing can be recreated. Because these are important, and the reason why is because these actually add a little bit of depth so the display will sit up off the palm rest a little bit. Because otherwise what happens is, so often, is this trackball will sit right here and damage the LCD because it's being pressed up right against it. So that cannot happen, and this is the only way to prevent that from happening. Also, you don't want to stack these laptops either because it'll just damage them. I got the lid and all that stuff apart. I had to glue that because it was snapped. And then also I'm gluing the speaker retaining ring. It's off from the other spot of the room. But what I really wanted to show you is how much these screws work loose. Like, look at this. I haven't loosened that or tightened it or anything. It just worked itself loose. And of course there's no Loctite either. So I find that very interesting. Yep, that one's loose too. There's nothing there. All those screws are loose. It's just interesting to me. What about you? Alright, well, I took the hinges off on purpose because I wanted to check these standoffs and make sure they haven't shrunk or cracked, and it looks like it has not. So, however this plastic was made, it's not quite the same as the newer ones. So is that one loose? It was a little bit, but not really a whole lot. So, I don't remember how this thing is in here. Looks very screwed in. Oh, yeah. Huh? It reveals two separate modules here. Because I think there's a cap on here. I think? I don't remember. See, those are chased through there and they're kind of hidden. One. There's one right here. And that is a 4716, which I have. This is a polymer cap. I'm not going to mess with that. But all of this needs to be taken care of. And let's see here. You won't come out because it's caught up right there. Alright, well, let me get that out too. I got the panel out. Yeah, this is slightly concerning. It's corroded in bad caps as expected, but there was a lot of goo around here where this ribbon is. You can kind of see the staining on that rubber where it was laying right across here. So that is of slight concern. So I'm having an issue where this could have a damaged ribbon cable. Although I'm not seeing it. Actually, I am. It's right there. Compared to the other ones, which those look fine. That one does not. So, neither does that one. That one's rotten, like completely rotten to the core. So, The only thing I can do is hope that it survives. None of the small traces look damaged to the panel. It's these larger ones. At least these larger ones are relatively repairable if you grind them down and use like a conductive ink pen or something, but that's a pain. Yeah, we gotta wash this down with water, warm soapy water, and get this cap goo out of there because we don't have a choice. Only thing we can do at this point and hope that it is to hope that it works. I cleaned it up as best as I could, washed it, let it dry. The only thing I gotta do now is clean the polarizing film because crap got on it. But what I did do is I took this paper towel to cover it, so when I'm soldering these, splashes of flux don't end up back in the polarizer and screw things up permanently. So, because again, the passive matrix polarizing film is extremely difficult to get as it is. I don't want to damage it if it isn't already damaged. So that's taken care of for now. Just gotta hope that the ribbon isn't damaged. If it is, then, well, we tried. Just like the last round of Powerbook nonsense we had going on, you know. So that's how we're gonna have to roll. And that's it. It's about as good as it's getting. Yeah, my luck, as soon as I can get this together, it's either going to have a stripe down here or it's going to develop vinegar syndrome. It's going to be one of the two because that's just what's happening to these displays now in droves. But anyways, it's back together now, so I got to go check on the motherboards, and as long as they're good, then I'm going to go start populating those with new capacitors. And I now have them both laid out and ready to go for new caps. Now, one thing I just noticed that's interesting is look at the difference between the two boards. This board has a bodge that's going everywhere, and this board does not. However, this board has these two resistors, or this board doesn't. Huh. Strange. And there we go. Both boards, including the CPU cards, now have a fresh set of capacitors. So the next step here is to, plug everything in and test them. I'm going to test both boards first with the display that I just recapped before I go any further, because I want to first check that display and second check both of these boards. And you can see where these batteries were leaking. Not good. So those need to go away. Anyways, the second thing I want to do is, because of, current times, we want to get the HDI 30 connector, which has the SCSI signals on it. We need to modify that to have termination power, because that is significantly more important today than it was back then, because today we have the blue SCSI. So these machines like this would benefit from blue SCSI in several ways, because of just the very nature of what they are, being a laptop, and then blue SCSI gives them Wi-Fi capability, which otherwise this thing wouldn't have. So it's a no-brainer. But one step at a time, let's get these boards hooked up and get them tested. All right, so here we go. Does it work, or did I waste my money? And time, for that matter. Well, let's see. Well, that's not good. We got chimes, but we got no RAM error thing. Well, hey, I got a backlight. That's good. I don't know if I have any contrast, though. Oh, yeah, we do. Oh, bad RAM. But the screen's good. We have bad RAM. It's the same error every time. So, yep, we're going to have to figure out what that's about. However, I do have another CPU card. So, Good news is the irreplaceable thing is good, which is that screen. Holy crap. Alright, in the meantime, let's get you out, which that's a really bad idea for obvious reasons. Because I think we have a bad CPU card. God, this desk is just too small. I need more room. Okay. Set you aside. And then we'll put you aside here. Move you out of the way because you're in the way. Okay. All right. What does this one do? That one's good. So we've got a bad RAM chip on here somewhere, or bad ROM. I'm not sure, but something's wrong with that card. But hey, this one works. I like that. Very good. Very, very good. However, the backlight is software controlled, so that won't do any good. But yes, we are functional. The screen works. I love it. It works. All right, so we know this motherboard's good. We know this screen is good. That's an issue. Why, I don't know yet. But we'll work through it. So, next thing to do is to test the other board and make sure it's good. It probably is, but you never know. All right, so I got the second motherboard hooked up, and this board has the other CPU card that gave me the death chimes. So let's see what it does in this board. I don't expect the behavior to be any different, really. Whoa. Huh. Interesting. Weird. That one is working. So yeah, that board's working good. But it's working with the CPU card that was bad. What? What did I do? Huh. Sorry, I'm kind of speechless. I did not expect that. Okay. You know what? We'll roll with it. Maybe it was a bad connection and reseating the CPU card fixed it. I don't know. Uh I'm at this point I'm kind of making excuses for the fault. Anyways, okay, I'll take that. Plug the power. We're gonna move on. I'm gonna start getting the base units back together. Actually, I need to take the trackballs apart and clean them. But I want to start getting it back together, and then I gotta get the capacitor replaced on this one. And then get the screen put back together. And then we're good. I can start getting the base units put back together, trackballs cleaned. That leaves only the hard drives we're dealing with. Oh, that's right. I have to do the modification for the SCSI termination power for Blue SCSI to work. So, yeah, let's do that real quick. And there we go. Almost looks stock. Almost. So the approach I've taken here was I added the termination resistor to the disk power, which goes right to the SCSI connector. So when the power management unit shuts the disk drive off, it'll shut the power off on this port as well. So I hope that works, but we'll see. Alright, so the next thing we got to do is clean this nasty Logitech trackball. So what I'm going to do with this is just wet up with some Q-tips with alcohol and just soak that and try to wipe that off, because that's not going to work. Much better. Yeah, that's everybody's finger dirt from the last 30 some odd years. Ugh. Yeah, so that's all clean now. All it takes is a little bit of alcohol and a Q-tip. Soak the wheel first and then rub it off. It'll just come right off. Alright, so I'm trying to get the adhesive to come off on the bottom of that case. It's probably not going to happen because I think it's epoxy, so that's probably stuck on there forever. However, while that stuff sets, I might as well work on the other LCD panel and do the same thing. Unfortunately, these little whatchamacallits are just molten and falling apart. And actually, that one came right off. I am surprised that one came off. Yeah, they did. These came off, unlike the last one. Wow, so perhaps I can get a better adjustment on that, actually. So yeah, let me take some pictures, because I've been taking pictures of all these rubber things for 3D printing, because yeah, that's all you can do now. Yeah, this one's just as bad, and actually it may even be worse, because if I look at the backside where the ribbon is and zoom in for a minute here, you can see where compared to that one, it's eaten up pretty good. So yeah, this one's actually worse. So yeah, I'm kind of concerned a little bit, but we will see. I'll clean that up as best as I could and see what we can get with this. I'm hoping the ribbon cable will still function, but I don't know, man. So now we got the panel done. Got all the new caps in it. It's all put back together. I do this off camera for the most part because I try not to contaminate the panel as much as I possibly can. But caps are installed. Everything's good to go. Now, unfortunately, I don't know, again, if that ribbon is good. I got lucky on the other one. But the question is, will I get lucky twice? I don't know. We're going to find out. Alright, so here we go. Just plug the power in. Does it work? It actually works. I am impressed. Because that ribbon cable was eaten up badly. But you know what? I'll take it. So we're down 2 for 2. Good. Good. So instead of being a waste of money, which, I mean, it's retro technology, it's always a waste of money, but that's beside the point. It's not a waste of money. It was actually a good investment. So this thing works. One of these is in not as good a shape as the other because it needs a foot printed off. Not for me. My goal is to get both of them working, but I'm going to keep one and I'm going to pass the other one down the road so someone else can have an adventure. Unfortunately, I do not have any Powerbook compatible Blue Scuzzies handy right now. So I am going to attempt to try to get these drives to work. For how well they're going to work, I don't know. But I think what I'm going to do, though, is plug in a Blue Scuzzy and see if this guy will... I'm going to image those drives because I don't know what's on them. I don't know if there's any personally identifiable information or any of that yet. I just want to image them first because of impending death, assuming they're not already dead. Because if they're not dead now, they will be in short order. I know these drives. So I'm going to use a Blue Scuzzy to back those up with this computer. And then once they're backed up, then I can take those drives apart and potentially work on them. Because I want to do some experimentation. I don't know if it's going to work. Modern drives are more privy to this than the older drives because here's the issue. There's more than one platter in here. To take the platters out, you're going to get cylinder misalignment, so the servo tracks are not going to align. However, modern drives have a smart enough disk controller that if the platters are not in alignment, it'll read the one sector. It'll use one of the platters as the servo track reference, but not the others. It'll come back around to read the second block and then back around to read the third block. It'll work. Not all drives will support that, but most will in the modern context. But it's going to access the data much, much slower because everything is now misaligned. So instead of them being straight up and down, you got one here and then one over there and another chunk over there. But the servo is smart enough to be able to read them individually to reconstruct it. These older drives, not so much. So if they get out of alignment, they may not work at all. It'll fail the power on self-test. Now, I'm making a huge assumption anyway, so I don't really know. But what I want to try is I want to mark the platters, remove them, and then try to line them up as close as I possibly can because the density of these drives are so low that I think it'll work. Again, it's a theory. Who really knows? But hey, we're good. Everything here is working fine. So, all right, moving right along. All right, so this is a very temporary setup that I don't even know if it's going to work. So, it's yet to be determined. You got a chime. Let's see. No hard drive? Trying. No, it's dead. Is the blue SCSI even working? Yeah. But that's dead. That's very dead. It's spinning though. But she is not happy. That is a no. Alright, well, stand by. I'll switch to this drive. Alright, so let's try again. Will it work? Nobody knows. This one looks like it's a 120 meg, so this is definitely not original. That was an upgrade. Possibly by a dealer. We get a spindly diddly. But it doesn't sound good. No, that's a fail. That is a fail. Something tells me that's holding up the bus. Alright, well. Oh well, these two were a fail. Well, the good news is the blue SCSI works. The bad news is it crashes. We start up without the extensions. Now, this is a System 7.1 install designed for the 030, so it may not even work with this machine. But the blue SCSI is working. We just have two very dead hard drives. But yes, there we go. Let's see, how much RAM does this thing have? 8 megs. Nice, not bad at all. That is cool. Now the trackball is shot. Even though I cleaned it, it's very just done. But hey, it's working. Yep, we are good. All right, we're good to go. It's just, yeah. All right, so here's the problem with the Connor drive. It's right here. You see that? That's rubber. It's sticking right there. So we're just going to go ahead and remove that. And I'll probably just, I don't know, maybe just shove some old rubber belts or something in there to try to dampen that. I don't know. We'll see. If I do that, this drive would actually be useful. Now it's only 20 megabytes, so it's not that useful, but good enough to back it up. A very weird design. So inside that little pocket, is a neodymium magnet with some like a wax rubber surround that disintegrated, which is why it was sticking. But yeah, that's interesting. Took a piece of flat belt, wrapped it with the neodymium magnet, and installed it. I don't know if that's gonna work, but we're gonna try. Moment of truth. Does it work or not? It's gonna take a while to initialize memory. We'll see. Nope. That drive's dead. Hey, it was worth a shot. Might actually be booting. It is. Wow, it's actually starting up. Oh my god. I thought it was dead. Oh lord, there's all kinds of random stuff installed on this thing. This is work. Oh lord, it's working. It's actually working. Yeah. Wow. $19.91 is still the original install. Still the original install. Alright, well hey, it's working. Wow, it actually worked. Alright, now the Go drive, I'm going to do something a little silly. I think what I'm going to do with the Go drive is I'm going to remove the head assembly completely, and then I want to mark the platters, and then I'm going to remove the platters to get to the bumper on the bottom. At least that's the current thought process anyways, because I don't think we need that bumper, because I can compensate for it over here somewhere. I gotta check on that. This has every chance in the world to fail. Matter of fact, I predict it to fail. But that is my current approach to try to keep cylinder alignment. And then I double tick the one on the bottom to make sure that that is my bottom platter. Now begins the laborious process of putting it back together. Got a piece of tubing cut at the right distance apart, and then I'm keeping the heads gapped with more cut tubing. Seriously doubt this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a try anyways. Modern drives have smart enough servos where you could remove the platters and reinstall them pretty closely, and the microcontroller will actually reconstruct the cylinders. Not all drives do, but a lot of modern ones do. However, this one's low enough density. I marked the platters and tried to put them back exactly where they were, but you know, by eyeball, it's never going to be perfect. So, if this drive works, it will be a miracle. But I don't think it's going to. Let's see. Nope. Servo error. It was worth a shot. That is a no. Alright, well, since that drive was a fail, moving right along, we have this epoxy. Now, this stuff's been sitting on here for several hours, and it's not coming off. So this is actually epoxy. This isn't glue or adhesive or anything like that. That's actually epoxy. So unfortunately, this bottom cover is just stuck with that. So, I mean, at least it's on the bottom, but still, that kind of sucks. But you know what? That's just part of the character of this particular machine, I guess. We still have the missing foot, which I don't have. It would have to be copied or replicated with 3D printing or something like that, and then put on there. That's the best we can do. Alright, so again, I'm waiting on Blue Scuzzies because I got to replace the drives. Now, this 20 meg drive does work. I don't really trust it at all, but is what it is. So I'm gonna probably just throw that back into one of these and just at least get one of them working for now. Kick it off to the side. Because like I said, my intention was to get them both working and then get rid of one of them. So I could put that in the one I get rid of because at least it's original. You know what I mean? And it would be up to the new owner to put a blue SCSI in it if they want to. And mine, I'm just going to put a blue SCSI in it because it just makes the most sense for something like this. The trackball, for some reason, is being weird on mine. It's not wanting to roll properly. And this ball is incredibly worn out, so I'm not surprised. But I got to try this one out and see how it works. One nice thing about that Goo Gone is it shines up the plastic really good. I guess it has a similar effect as like Armor All. Alright, so here we go. Will it work or will it not? It's got the hard drive back in here. It's running. Ugh. I don't like the way it sounds when it fires up. But it is working. That's cool. We have a fully working Powerbook 100. Looks like there's Norton Utilities installed on this thing. Poor thing. This is the other motherboard, the one that has the crappy epoxy on the bottom of it. Doesn't have as much memory because of the two missing chips, but God, the trackball is terrible. Yeah, I don't know why they're so bad. It's terrible. Alright, well. Yeah, I've never heard of retrospect. Oh, it's backup software. Okay. Anyway, so that's it for this one. I'm just waiting on a blue SCSI so I can do the other one. The joys of blue SCSI. Backing up the image. Alright, so we're booted up off the blue SCSI, and I'm shooting the image over now to my file server. Courtesy of amazing people like Tom Barber, I now have a Powerbook blue SCSI. I was at VCF Midwest and he gave this to me, so now I got to get to put that together, and I now have a blue SCSI for this machine. Alright, blue SCSI is installed. Luckily it was fairly easy to put together. Instead of putting the header pins in there, I just went ahead and soldered it straight to the board. It was just, I don't know, easier, and it didn't have the crazy height to it, which I would fear would run into this cable. So I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. But anyway, so that's installed. I still have the original drive bracket, so it's a little loose, but it's in there. So, all right, time to whack this thing back together and start getting the system software installed and trying it out.